Hello, folks, and happy Wednesday again. Sorry for the mix-up last week. I just couldn't get that thing down low enough where it would send over to Michael. But good to have you back again. If you have your Bibles, if you could open up to the Gospel of John, chapter 5. I mentioned last time I wanted to kind of compare and contrast the Jesus' healing of the blind man. If you remember, we talked about that last time. Wonderful story. Got a guy blind from birth. The Lord heals him. A lot of pushback from the religious community, and they don't like Jesus. The underlying rule at that time, and for our story today, is that you can't go supporting Jesus, or we're going to put you out of the community. You'll be excommunicated. The blind man, however, that was healed, he goes before the Jewish leadership, and he just presents what happens. Honestly, they don't like it. They kick him out, but then Jesus comes later, and he introduces himself again as the Son of God, and he believes in him, and he is on to salvation. So in John chapter 5, a different story. You got a fella that's paralyzed and has been this way for 38 years. So let's pick up at verse number 5, John 5, verse 5. So they're talking about this pool where he's waiting there to be healed. The angel comes by and stirs the waters, and he's sitting there. He's been there a long time with this ailment. And verse 5 says, one man was there who had been an invalid for 38 years. When Jesus saw him lying there and knew that he had already been there a long time, he said to him, "Do you want to be healed?" I think the King James says, "Do you want to be made whole?" So the Lord is asking him point blank, "Would you like me to heal you?" Verse 7, the sick man answered and said, "Sir, I have no one to put me into the pool when the water is stirred up, and while I am going, another steps down before me." So it's kind of interesting, his response. First of all, he's 38 years, he's got no one to bring him down to the water. I don't know. I think in that amount of time to be some kind people, I wonder if this guy might be a little abrasive, perhaps. Maybe he's hard to get along with, that he can't find some people to help him bring him down to the water. Well, we think of the paralyzed fellow that was brought through the roof. We had 4 friends that were brought down and lowered down to where Paul was teaching, so the fellow could be healed. This guy can't find anybody, so I don't know. Maybe he's a little rough to get along with. And the second thing is, Jesus is asking him, "Do you want to be made healed or get healed?" And he's got like a complaint. Like, well, I can't even get down there. No one will bring me. These other people get right ahead of me. So it's like he's asking the question, do you want to be healed? And instead of just saying, "Yes, Lord," he's got to go on with his little complaint. He's agitated. He's upset about this. He's bitter about it. He's got to bring that up to the Lord and get it off his chest again. And, we got to be careful with that. Sometimes we are so wrapped up, we're angry, we're bitter about something. And even though the Lord wants to come and heal us, the Lord wants to come and provide, the Lord wants to come and give us peace, we've got some little issue that we got to keep bringing up. Well, Scott, do you want me to provide for you? Well, Lord, if I only got that job, things would have been better. Do you want to have some more friends, Scott? Well, what so-and-so did to me, and I'm pretty upset about that still. Do you want to be healed, Scott? Well, this shoulder's pretty bad. That's been giving me trouble for a long time. I don't know if that's going to get better. You just kind of have this issue. I'll have it sometimes at the office. I really try to stay on time, but sometimes I'll come in, someone's upset because I'm running late, which happens. I'll say, "Well, what can I do for you? What can I help you with?" "Well, you should have been in here 10 minutes ago." "I'm really sorry. We got behind. What can I help you with?" "Well, I've got a tea time coming up at 12:30, and if I'm not out by then," it's like you miss the opportunity for someone to help you because you're just wrapped up and upset about something else. And I think that's what's going on with this guy. He's got to bring up the whole thing again instead of just asking the Lord, "Yes, Lord, heal me. Yes, Lord, help me. Yes, bring your salvation, period." instead of bringing our issues into it. Okay, verse number 8. Jesus said to him, "Get up, take up your bed and walk." And at once the man was healed and took up his bed and walked. Now the day was on the Sabbath, so the Jews, the Jewish leadership, said to the man that had been healed, "It is the Sabbath. It is not lawful to take up your bed." See, again, trying to find something to catch up on. But he answered and said, "The man who healed me, that man said to me, 'Take up your bed and walk.'" So he's caught doing something he's not supposed to be doing according to Jewish tradition, which is as ridiculous as it is. He just blames Jesus. He doesn't know who it is, but he says, "Oh no, that guy told me that it wasn't me, it wasn't my fault. I would never do that. I would never break Sabbath, but he told me to." So he's got to blame, even though he had this miraculous healing. Verse 12, they asked him, "Who was the man that said to you, 'Take up your bed and walk'?" Now the man who had been healed did not know who it was, for Jesus had withdrawn and there was a crowd in the place. So this guy doesn't even realize. I know the blind man, we read about him. He knew who it was. He knew it was Jesus. This guy doesn't even know who he was. He's healed and he has no idea who it was that healed him. Afterward, Jesus found him in the temple and he said to him, "See, you are well. Sin no more, that nothing worse may happen to you." So the Lord gives him a little bit of a rebuke there. He says, you watch. You don't want anything worse to happen. Now, I don't think that he'd be struck with some other sort of physical ailment, but there's a spiritual accountability for sin. And I think the Lord is telling him, you sin no more, and you avoid worse of a problem than you're being unable to walk. Verse 15, the man went away and he told the Jews that it was Jesus who had healed him. So he goes back and he kind of rats out Jesus. Oh, there's the guy there. It was this Jesus guy. And he knew what they were up to, but yet he goes and he turns them in. My goodness, this fella. Verse 16, and this was why the Jews were persecuting Jesus, because he was doing these things on the Sabbath. But Jesus answered them, "My Father is working now, and I am working." Verse 18, this is why the Jews were seeking all the more to kill him, because not only was he breaking the Sabbath, but he was even calling God his Father, making himself equal with God. So again, just trying to back up that plot that was out there. We have got to find this guy guilty of something, anything that will stick. But just this guy's lame all these years. The Lord brings him healing. He's fussing a little bit about before he's even healed. He blames Jesus for what he did. Then he goes back and they tell on him. And you don't see any salvation coming to this guy like you do with the blind man, where he asks him. He says, "It's the one talking to you. He is the one that's the Son of God," and he believed in him. Very different encounter. But God bless you guys. Thank you for your time.